Welcome back to New Rockstars. Hayden Christiansen is returning as Darth Vader Anakin Skywalker in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus, alongside, hello there, Ewan McGreggor. If you told me this 2 weeks ago, I would have said to you, liar! But hungry to redeem his Return of the Jedi Force Ghost cameo, now that fans don't entirely hate his character after Clone Wars, the man is back to all of acting, it seems, because he has been MIA. Well, he is back in our lives. I'm Erik Voss. This is Rogue Theory, the show that brings you the wildest nerdy hot takes on the topics we can't stop arguing about. With me to go rogue today is a brother in this grand crusade of Easter egg breakdowns, the really only other YouTube nerdy analyzer I can truly trust with this stuff, unless he's about to hit me with another one of those "it's your mom" jokes from Screencrush, Ryan Arey. Welcome to New Rockstars, Ryan.
Thanks, Eric. Good to be here.
Also here with us is friend of the show, comedy writer, and host of the Crush Fictionally podcast, Kim Truong. Welcome back, Kim.
What's up, homies?
What's up? And I am also happy to welcome, first time here on New Rockstars, friend of the show and comedian back from our old days at I.O. West RIP in Hollywood, Kristin Sanchez. Welcome, Kristin.
Hi, that's me. I'm so excited to be here. Yay!
We're so excited to have you. All right, let's dive into the big news, folks. Among the tidal wave of Marvel and Star Wars news that came out last week at Disney Investor Day, the biggest Star Wars news was that Hayden Christiansen is going to reprise his role as Anakin Skywalker in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney Plus. Now, we know Obi-Wan and Vader back from the very first Star Wars film. They dueled in their big fight on the Death Star in A New Hope. And in that movie, you'll remember Darth Vader seemed to sense Obi-Wan nearby. He says, "It's a presence I have not felt since..." And then he trailed off, allowing our nerd minds to fill in what that backstory was. But then Revenge of the Sith did it for us. There was the epic battle on Mustafar that left Anakin horribly burned and injured. "I hate you!" Obi-Wan had the high ground, and boy, did he use it. He ended up taking the blue lightsaber to one day give to Vader's son, Luke. And now we have gotten some flashes of what Vader was up to in those in-between years. At the end of Clone Wars, we found out that he was seeking out Ahsoka, found what looked like her grave, and then he did later battle with Ahsoka chronologically. We saw that in Rebels. In Rogue One, we saw how he wrecked Rebel soldiers during the Battle of Scarif. And now, by bringing back Vader in this Kenobi series, it is being implied that these two men had other collisions during that gap period. So I want to know from you three. I want to hear what went down between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi during the Age of the Empire, and what do you think Hayden Christiansen will look like in this series? Ryan, why don't we start with you?
Like you said, Vader says, "I haven't felt the presence in," and he never quite says when. So it's not necessarily, their last encounter was not necessarily Revenge of the Sith, except he does say, "The last time we met, I was the learner and you were the master." So it implies that.
Right.
So I think is going to happen is Obi-Wan is on Tatooine. We know a little bit about what he's done on Tatooine from the comic, but the new Marvel comic series. I don't want to spoil anything, but he has some like brief interactions with the Lars family and the Tusken Raiders. So I think he's on Tatooine. He knows Luke is safe, and Vader is going around the galaxy at this point, according to the comics. But he's not like, people don't know the name Darth Vader. You know, in Rebels when he shows up, Kanan and Ezra are like, "What was that?" They don't even understand that it's a human being inside of there. So I think that Obi-Wan, somehow or another, gets wind of a Darth Vader. And in Revenge of the Sith, if you'll remember, he hears the Emperor in the hologram call Anakin Lord Vader. So he knows, and he says, "Send me to kill the Emperor," and all this. So he knows who Darth Vader is. He just thinks that Darth Vader's dead and he died on the rock. So I think if he heard wind of a Darth Vader somewhere or another, he would go, "Oh, I didn't finish the job." And so then it's going to be him leaving the planet to go off and find him. Now, as for what Anakin's going to look like, I think that Hayden Christiansen is going to be the man in suit like he was at the end of Revenge of the Sith, which I'm not that happy with, because I think you can definitely tell that it's Hayden Christiansen in the suit and not like a massive bodybuilder. But also, one thing I would love to see is if we do see glimpses of child Luke in Return of the Jedi. When Luke talks to Leia, he has this distant look in his eye and he says, "I have no memory of my mother," which implies that he had some memory or some vision of his father. So I'm wondering, just like Leia talked about, "Oh, my mother was very pretty," if she dreamed about Padme, maybe baby Luke or 10-year-old Luke has dreams about his father and he sees his father's face, not necessarily as a Jedi, but through the Force, he's able to kind of connect with him, because later in Jedi, he seems very certain, all out of nowhere, out of the blue, that there's good in his father. And maybe these dreams are what kind of led him to that, to having that feeling of connection with his dad. And then we'd kind of get to see Anakin interact with Luke, which would be cool.
That is really cool. I love the idea of Luke dreaming of his father, and having that kind of destiny calling to him. Like when he's looking at the twin suns of the binary sunset, really what he's connecting with is like, the father and son, like his dad in that moment. And he just maybe doesn't fully know what it means yet. That's pretty cool. So do you think we're never going to see Hayden's face? Is it just going to be we got to see his face? Otherwise, they wouldn't get Hayden to do it. Or are we going to have James Earl Jones doing the voice again? Like, how's it going to look there?
I kind of think you have to have James Earl Jones doing the voice.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many.
I agree.
We could see him, back to Tank, his meditation chamber. Clone Wars flashbacks, honestly, I think are the most likely, to see him and Ewan McGregor again. Like get flashbacks, things like that, even though it's been 15 years. But, I mean, Ewan McGregor looks great. I assume Hayden Christiansen does. I haven't seen, like you said, he hasn't been in public. He hasn't shown his face since Shattered Glass, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's so interesting that they were able to convince him to come back. And, like, Hayden Christensen's like, look, this is what people know me as. So I, have kids who want to go to college some days. Oh.
Totally. I feel like it's almost like a David Arquette moment where like David Arquette like won the championship and like totally like underdid like the entirety of that belt, and then he came back and like earned the wrestlers like pride again because he like cared about it so much, and he was like, no, I'm gonna do this, and then he really did it, and now everyone freaking loves him. Like this is like the hero's journey of Hayden, if you will.
And I love that your monomyth is David Arquette in the wrestler movie. That's so great.
Are you talking about Ready to Rumble?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Ready to Rumble.
Yes, that did happen. But real quick, David Arquette like won a championship, and everyone in the wrestling community was like real upset about it. And then after that, he like decided that he was going to like make sure that everyone respected him by actually going in and taking wrestling very seriously. And he became like a real wrestler, and he goes around and he wrestles. And like the fans freaking love him now because he like actually took it seriously. And I think that's what Hayden's doing.
I love that. And I was going to say like, oh, people are here for Darth Vader news, but most of these fans are like, yes, finally someone brought up David Arquette's wrestling history.
Thank God someone's talking about David Arquette.
Well, Ryan, I love your take, this whole idea of bringing in a young Luke in this series too, and flashing back to memories of a live-action Clone Wars adventures. That'd be really, really cool. So I'm going to give you 2 points for your theory. 2 points for you.
Thank you. Is that good? This is my first time here. I don't know. Like nobody told me.
Yeah. Usually we stay in the single digits. Because
I would have tried harder if I'd known we were keeping score.
Oh, everything is scored here on Rogue Theory. The scores usually don't matter at the end, but you can read the credits of Whose Line Is It Anyway. That's usually your reward. It's just like, Dan Patterson, and I'm doing bits. Yeah, I weirdly remember that Dan Patterson is the executive producer of Whose Line because
very specific.
Come up.
Yeah. All right. But I want to hear some alternate takes of what this Kenobi Darth Vader backstory is going to be. So, Kim, why don't you go next? How do you think this is going to look?
I hate to disappoint you, but I actually think very similar. My theory is very similar to Ryan's.
There might be something to it then.
The difference between Ryan and my theory is that Ryan, I think you had mentioned that Obi-Wan senses Darth Vader out there. And for me, I think the calling will be Obi-Wan coming across Luke in some capacity and seeing the innocence in Luke, in this child. And remembering the innocence of what Anakin was when he was a kid and he was a boy. And that's the fire in him as his last ultimate bold italic underline ditch effort to try to get Anakin back. Because there is some good, as we see that Luke clearly sees in his father, left in Darth Vader. And I think this is his last ditch effort before we move on into the next trilogy.
Wow. Okay, so you think Obi-Wan it's like a redemption effort. Like he's like, you know what? We battled on Mustafar. He seemed pretty pissed, but even as Vader, there's still hope to try to bring him back. I mean, what do you think he's going to try to do? Is it like he's going to try to kidnap him and like scare him straight? Like how would one go about doing that to Darth Vader?
Is it lame to say that I think there's going to be telepathy involved, right? Where we don't necessarily see them in person in the same vicinity or room for quite some time until I guess the ultimate duo that they keep talking about that is going to happen again between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. So I'm going to assume that it may be like kind of like The Mandalorian, where the overarching goal for Mando is to get the child back with his people, but it's not the main action of every episode, right? So I think that's going to be the overarching goal, is Obi-Wan trying to get through to Anakin. I don't know how it will happen, but I think there is going to be that telepathy involved where they somehow can sense each other and there's blips of conversation that happens, and we ultimately, I don't know, maybe it ultimately comes down to some battle somewhere. I don't know. I'm not the person to be paid to come up with these theories, but I think that's ultimately how it's going to happen, is that it's just Obi-Wan.
You do tap into this idea of like, if it is a psychic battle, that kind of gives us a way forward of why they want Hayden Christensen to do this, because like that's a big challenge. He has become Darth Vader now. They put the mask on his face in Revenge of the Sith. Like, yeah, we can see him in the back to tank, but they're going to have to come up with some way if they want Hayden Christensen to do it. Like, and if it is just like a mental projection kind of thing, like the way we saw those Force time chats in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker,
Right.
if his projected form is his Anakin form is Hayden Christensen, that is cool. If we could see like psychic mind battles between the two of them, but it is just Hayden versus like, you know, Ewan in that fight, then we can still keep a corporeal form of Darth Vader in the mask and nothing gets changed there. But it's just like he's trying to reach out to his Anakin essence. And that is a telepathic battle, as you said.
Yeah, and I think that leads right into your next question, which is, what is he going to look like? I think it's going to be both. I think we're going to see a little bit of both somehow. Like, I think why bring back Hayden Christensen to get into a Darth Vader suit? Like, I can't imagine that's the only form we're going to see him in. Again, me thinking like a Disney executive. I know people get mad for me putting on my Disney business hat, but I think that there's a reason why they're bringing back Hayden Christensen. I feel like that's not to be ignored.
I think that's a very viable alternative that I think is interesting. I'd love to see flashbacks, recreations of episodes of the Clone Wars in live action. I'd also love to see a trippy-ass mind battle. I mean, we talked about in a recent episode of The Mandalorian, those butterflies, right? And how they could connect to that Darth Vader comic where there's like blue butterflies that represented the goodness. But like what's really cool about that comic is you see Vader in his like savage mind's eye depiction of himself, where he's just like red and bloody and veiny, but then like this white silhouette that's just like, what the are we looking at? But if we get to see a version of that and it's freaking fiery Hayden as like this like fighting a demonic version of himself, like, yeah, show me that insanity. I want to see that.
I want to see that shit too.
Take my money.
For Force Awakens, they were going to do that. They were talking about having Hayden Christensen back, and they actually had concept art of him like as a Force vision where he's half Vader and half Anakin, and I mean that would look awesome.
Yeah, bring back that concept art. I do remember that. That would have been really sick. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe Ryan, you might have found the old file, you know, the old Ark of the Covenant and the Lucasfilm archives to show us what they're going to do here. Hold on. So I am going to give I'm going to give 2 points to Kim. 1 point for her theory on what they're going to do with it, another point for this telepathic visual, but I'm going to give another point to Ryan for that old concept art callback.
Nice.
Kristin, it is your turn. How do you think this is going to look in this Kenobi series?
All right, I'm real excited about this. Go with me here. Okay, so we're getting a big battle. That is what we have been promised as fans, and that's the moment that I really want to get into. Okay, so we are at the height of Vader evil at this moment, like the height of it, because he's killed the younglings, he's on his own, he's exploring the galaxy with all of his evil powers. And one of the things that he's doing is going over to Geonosis. And he goes over to Geonosis and he kills everyone because they're secretly building the Death Star in Geonosian space, and they can't let anyone know that they can't let anyone know it's there.
It's totally fine.
They can't let anyone know it's there. So because they can't let anyone know it's there, Vader is going to be there, and he's obviously going to be doing all the killing, and there's going to be a great disturbance in the Force. And Obi-Wan's going to feel it on Tatooine, and he's going to get his butt over to Geonosis, a place that he's been to before, and he's going to have a moment where he's going to actually battle Vader. And it is going to be another moment, as you mentioned before, Ryan, where he is going to be the student, because when we see Obi-Wan the next time, he's not injured, he's not maimed, he's totally good to go. And he's got to win that second lightsaber battle so that when Vader wins eventually in the third lightsaber battle that they have, then it's did he really win, or did Kenobi actually win? So he's actually winning all three battles. But yeah, so that's where I'm going. That's what I think's happening. That's how we're gonna have that interaction with those two, and that's how we're gonna get that super cool battle. So that's where I'm thinking. That's where I'm going, because the cool part about that is also you get that moment where Kenobi says that is no moon, and because we could have that moment where all of a sudden he just sees the Death Star, and it's not completely built yet, so it's just partially built. Nice. and so he sees it, but he doesn't know what it is because there's never been a Death Star before. But he could be what is this thing? And maybe it's just a giant space station, the biggest one I've ever seen. So that's why he's that is no moon in A New Hope,
Kristin, that is a really cool theory. I love tying in the creation of the Death Star, Project Stardust, and I really want to see the early days of that. Anytime we watch the prequels and they had that Death Star show up on screen, I'm like, ooh, give me more of that. I want to know.
Yummy, yummy, I want more.
Yeah, the Bad Batch series we're talking about could explore, Tarkin and Krennic and some of that, Galen Erso. I want to explore the early days of the Empire, and this could explore it in live action. Because our next topic we're going to talk about is going to explore some of the waning days of the Empire leading up to the Battle of Yavin. But yeah. So what do you think Hayden Christensen's going to look like in the series? Are they just bringing him back to redo some of those sword fighting stunts from the battle on Mustafar, or is he going to take a different form?
Okay, so I love Hayden. I love it. I love him from the bottom of my heart. I had the biggest crush on him. Huge crush.
Didn't we all?
Loved him to pieces. I know he could make no wrong decisions, but Hayden is not the best actor. But he's so great, and he's such a nice guy. He's so great. But maybe if he didn't act, that wouldn't be the end of the world. So it would be awesome if we had him, but it's still James Earl Jones. So James Earl Jones still gets to make all those yummy decisions whenever he's talking, and he's I'm Darth Vader, he is. And it's super cool, and we get that. But we also get Hayden in the suit, and he's happy, and that's great because he's back, and the fans want him to be back, and he gets to be in the series again, and that's super cool. But maybe it's one of those things where contractually we only see his face every once a season, we kind of do in The Mandalorian, and it's just maybe we just get one shot in a Bacta tank, or we get one shot of him meditating and doing his thing, and then it's right back into that helmet, because no choices for acting for you. You're very, very sweet, and we love you enough, but you can't do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow. Hot take. Yeah, poor Hayden. Look, we did not get to see a lot of great performances from him in those two films. I agree, but hey, you know who also looks bad is Natalie Portman in those movies, and she's a great actress. I think it was the writing. I think it was a dialogue writing that we blamed there.
Yeah,
so.
because dialogue was real rough for them. But like this is
rough.
Again, I want to see him come back. I want him to be exactly what we wanted him to be in that franchise from the beginning. I want to see it all. I want to see him come back. The hero's journey is not just for Skywalker, it is also for Christensen.
Yeah, the rise of Christensen.
Yes.
Just showing him in the back of the tank would be fun. If like they're just like, we're gonna put you in a jacuzzi for a couple months. We'll take you out every now and then so you don't get too pruned.
And the other thing that I think would be real cool is seeing Hayden in full like gore makeup again, because that was super cool. And we only got to see it for like a short period of time. But like, could you imagine the makeup artist being told like, hey, what's up? You get to go make him into like a crispy critter. And they're like, yes! That'd be super cool.
Yeah, if you look across, like, not just the I hate you, like the red eyes that he had, but like when he was on that gurney as the thing was coming down on his face and he just looked a little potato-y and it's like
totally.
If that's just
He's
the Hayden we get, it'd be freaking cool. Yeah, a little gooey Hayden.
Just a little gooey, yeah.
I prefer crispy critter as a description for his makeup.
Kristin, the points I was going to allot to you fluctuated. It's a bit of a roller coaster for me there, I gotta say. You started at 2, you went up to 3 with the Death Star aid, the visual aid, then you went back down to 1 for saying that Hayden would have to be in the helmet the whole time, and that his voice would have to be covered by James Earl Jones the whole time. I'm like, well, then why bring in Hayden at all? But by saying that he would get to be in gore makeup. Well, James Earl Jones is great, but you got to give Hayden something to do. But to give him this sense of he could be in gnarly, gooey makeup, I do want to see that. That would be a pretty cool way to give him something to do there. So you've come back, you've averaged out at 2 points. 2 points for Kristin.
Woo!
We have a lot of good takes. I mean, so much of the big question on this is, what is Hayden going to look like? That's why I wanted to explore it so much. I think that's going to be the curiosity. Don't show us in trailers, Lucasfilm. Leave that for whatever episode he comes in. I want that to be the big reveal. Because, it's going to be like Sonic. You show him in trailers, people are going to pull it apart. Just kind of bring it in on the show. You spend all the time you need rendering those VFX until it looks great. Don't rush it. Do not rush this. Trust me. All right, we're going to go rogue on some other Star Wars news in a bit. First, I want to thank some people who helped us make this episode. First, we want to thank our friends at Bespoke Post for helping make this episode. So the curators at Bespoke Post have done it again this winter with an all-new lineup of essential Box of Awesome collections for guys guaranteed to upgrade your life. I have enjoyed the Antipasti box, which came out with all the fixings for a really delicious charcuterie board. I was in sausage heaven. Hey, I didn't write that line. Zach wrote that. Oh, Zach. He's always working in his weird puns. But whether it's showcase pieces to lift up your indoor hosting skills or cozy threads for those blustery days, Bespoke Post only sends guys the best stuff every month, no matter what you are into. Box of Awesome has you covered. From style and grooming goods to barware, cooking tools, and outdoor gear, Box of Awesome has collections for every part of your life. A current box that looks really cool is the Flame Box with a miniature indoor fireplace. I bet that is real cozy on a cold winter night. We don't get too many of them here in Los Angeles, but I've been told winter is something very different the rest of the world. Now, to get started, take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right Box of Awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside it. Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code ROGUE at checkout. That's ROGUE, not Rouge, Rogue. That's boxofawesome.com, code ROGUE for 20% off your first box. We also want to thank our friends at Blue Chew. Fellas, do you remember the days when you were ready to go? Well, now you can get back that extra confidence in bed from our friends at BlueChew.com. Yeah, it's blue like the color blue. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Heyo! Blue Chew is prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you don't have to go to the doctor's office or wait in line at the pharmacy. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. But why be discreet? I mean, once you get this Blue Chew, you're going to want to scream at all your neighbors, be like, I'm going to get a boner now! Thanks, Blue Chew! You should be proud of it. Well, no, actually, don't be proud of your boners. Don't go outside walking around with these things. That's assault, brother. Blue Chew is made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they are cheaper than a pharmacy. Also, there's no awkwardness and no leaving the house. You don't have to, slam your fist on that pharmacist plexiglass and be like, stop giving people the Moderna vaccine and give me my boner pills. That awkward situation's gone. You can just get a yummy chewable delivered right to your door. Isn't that awesome? And right now, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment for free when you use our special promo code ROGUE. Just pay $5 in shipping. That, again, is BLUE Chew.com. Promo code ROGUE to try it for free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper choice. And remember, when you support our sponsors, you help make this show possible. So please be sure to use our promo code ROGUE at BlueChew.com. All right, we're going to move on to topic 2 here. The Star Wars Cassian Andor series is coming to Disney+. There's a sizzle reel that came out at Disney's Investor Day that gave us a deeper behind-the-scenes look at this series. It's going to follow Diego Luna's character from Rogue One. He was a rebel, we believe, Fulcrum agent. It was kind of like an espionage series that was set up there on the Rings of Kafrene. That could have been a whole series, we agree, and now so did Lucasfilm. It's going to be a 12-episode prequel series. 12 episodes is interesting. It means they got a lot of story to dive into. We learned that Mon Mothma is going to be back. Genevieve O'Reilly is coming back from Rogue One. She's going to be playing her role as the political leader of the whole Rebel Alliance. I assume going to be the Judi Dench M to Diego Luna's Bond character, right? Oh, Andor, what have you got yourself mixed into again? We got to see some concept art showing Cassian Andor and other rebels. It looked like they were planning some kind of mission to blow a dam. Which I love because I don't know about you guys, the recent episode of The Mandalorian, I thought Bill Burr was going to wreck that dam and flood that whole village. You can't blow up explosive crap on a dam and not have it gush water everywhere. A missed opportunity. Maybe they're saving that visual for this Cassian Andor series. Also, in the shot, there is someone in an Imperial officer uniform standing right there, which maybe that's like a mole. They're going to be like, all right, you're going to be pretending to be Imperial, and you're going to go in there. And he's like, okay, great. This uniform used to have a dead guy in it, so it kind of stinks. But it also kind of shows maybe we're going to see the very first time someone posed as an imp to go behind enemy lines, which is something they do in every Star Wars story now. But this could have been the first time it happens. That would have been fun. And we also get a shot of a Star Destroyer being ripped apart. The visuals that they are planning for this show are amazing. But I think what I'm most curious about are the ways it's going to tie into what we already know. So, like, we're watching The Mandalorian. They have Boba Fett and Ahsoka Tano showing up on there. There's going to be some connections and crossover between this Cassian Andor series and things we've already seen. So from you guys, I want to hear, what character storyline do you think from the extended Star Wars universe, things like Rebels or Clone Wars from Rogue One, the movie that's going to happen after this, the prequel movies, whatever. How do you think it's going to tie into the Cassian Andor series? What is it going to be? How is it going to connect? Kristin, what do you think?
Here's what I think. I really think that they are going to take a dark turn with this series. So a lot of our Star Wars world is in this like place of like PG-13 where we all feel very comfortable and everyone's included and it's great. But we haven't really had a like R series that is Star Wars yet. And this, I know, go with me here. Maybe it's not going to happen, but it's what I want. So we're going to play with it. Okay. So we're going to get like this like real dark, gritty series, because in that like big speech that he gives right before they go and they do like everything that happens in Rogue One and like all of that, they have that like moment where he's backed up by all of those people that are like, we've done some shit for the rebellion. Like we have made some bad choices. And like at the end of this series, like I want to question the validity of the rebellion. I want to question why it happened. And like I want everyone to be like, oh my gosh, like who's really the right side of this because of all the decisions that they made. But I think that would be like really, really interesting. And I would like to see that. And I think it would be great to have those characters all come from like originally Rogue One and be in that series. And like maybe he goes on a couple of missions and we see those people again. But like, yeah, that's what I want. I want a dark series. I want a gritty series. And I want it now.
No, yeah. I mean, what you're describing, Kristin, is like exactly what I think we all felt after Rogue One. You know, that kind of sense of the fog of war, mixed morality, that like these people are terrorists, if you think about it. I mean, they're terrorists with a good cause, you know, bringing down space Nazis. But the things they're doing, like Cassian Andor in that scene on the Rings of Kafrene, he kills a guy or he gets a guy killed. And it's implied that he's done a lot of that. So absolutely, I want the series to explore that darkness of the Rebel Alliance aren't always these shining war heroes and these freedom fighters. They've done some dark things in the name of that freedom. So I think that's definitely we'll explore.
They're the good guys, but like how good are they really?
All right, Kristin, I'll give you a point for that theory. Well done. A whole point. But Kim, I want to hear from you. How do you think this is going to look? What are going to be the characters, the storylines from the other series we've seen that tie in? What specific characters or storylines?
So I was like nodding and pointing the whole time when Kristin was talking because I think we're beating around the same bush. But what I love about The Mandalorian is this real exploration of good versus evil and how those lines blur. And in an improv class, one of my teachers said there are no true villains and there are no true heroes. And I want to see the exploration of that in the Andor series through my boy, Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker. Yes. I want to see his beef with the Alliance. I want to see his extreme militant tactics. I want to see what breaks him. Like, what makes him toe this line? Because he has got to be an antagonist, I think, to Cassian in the Alliance's efforts in a big way. And how far will that antagonist, the role of his antagonist, go? I want to see that so bad. It's prime. Like, it feels like Rogue One. Well, funny enough, when I watched Rogue One, I was so depressed at the end because all I kept thinking was, I'm never going to see these characters again. And I love them so much. Yeah. And then this series came out and I was like, hooray. So, of course, naturally, I'm like, you better bring my boy Saw Gerrera back because clearly he dies at the end of Rogue One. Not the end of Rogue One, but in Rogue One. And I want to see him. I want to see him crumble. I want to see him go from what may have been a hero to now a villain.
Yeah, a villain, or at least a thorn in the paw of the whole Rebel Alliance. He's over there on Jedha now. He's just leading that group, and they're kind of like taking things their own way. Boy, do I want to see Borg Gullet. He better bring that. I want to know more about that weird squid thing that forces you to tell the truth and tortures you.
Yes.
That was a thing. That was a sex thing. I know it was a sex thing. I want to know what they were really using Borg Gullet for. Because that
Kristin,
thing was
maybe you'll get your
cool.
R-rated. This is your R-rated show that we're gonna get.
Series!
This is what we want, and I'm not gonna lie. I want that too.
All of a sudden, reading our minds.
If The Hobbit can do it, if The Lord of the Rings can do it, why not Star Wars? Come on, Disney.
You know, Tony Gilroy's like, we're not cutting the Borg Gullet stuff. I know there's a bunch of dicks on this thing, but we're leaving them in. You can't tell me to do it. They're like, wait, dicks? That brings it to NC-17. He's like, I know. Fine. Add another dick. It's like, he's like a referee in like a high school basketball game. He's like, give him another foul shot. And another one. Okay. Put another dick in there. You want to keep going?
One more
That's a third dick for you.
Anything about this dick, we are adding 3 more dicks.
I'm with you.
Or no, it's like the small town judge that like Judge Morty's like, all right, fine, 2 more dicks.
Exactly. The punishment.
This video brought to you by Blue Chew.
Never have blue balls again with Bluetooth.
All right, Ryan, bring us back to sanity. What? Who do you think is going to be? We'll give 2 points, by the way, for Kim for bringing in Saw Gerrera there. But Ryan, who do you think is going to be the other character who ties in with this series?
Okay, there's one character from Clone Wars and Rebels. Every time they're ever on the screen, it makes the episode. They're a lot of fun. I'm always like, anytime when Rebels came out, I was like, I really hope they go back and show this character, and that's Hondo Ohnaka, the Pirate King from Clone Wars. I love Hondo. Yeah. He's the kind of guy who just loves being bad. He's always having a good time. He's a little bit of an anti-hero, but he's always like angling for profit. And we see him in Clone Wars. He's still doing fine. Then in Rebels, he's destitute. We never find out how. So I don't know exactly when this is going to take place in a court, like this series is going to fall in the timeline. But I would love to see like the downfall of Hondo or him trying to scrape his way back. Because I think that these early days of the Rebel Alliance, like you're talking about how they're basically terrorists, they're not necessarily going to be enemies with the Hutts and the gangsters. And a lot of the times they're going to be using them. And that's going to, like those moral lines you guys are talking about, that's where those are going to come up. Like, okay, we're going to use the Hutts and these other gangsters to accomplish, but the ends justify the means. And then you can have Hondo in there. And if you're going to take Solo into it, we can see what happens to Kira. If they can get Emilia Clarke to come back. I mean, I don't think they're going to make a Solo sequel. So Hondo can just lead the charge of all these rogue characters into the Cassian series. I would love that.
Yeah, I love that. Hondo is really cool, and like he is one of these figures from the animated series where it's like, can we please get this guy in live action? And yeah, now we finally have. If it's not Cassian Andor series, it's got to be Kenobi. We get him in one of these two, and to tie in some of these Solo things. Kenobi. Yeah. The all that stuff from Solo. I mean, Solo is such a weird movie, but man, to get in Crimson Dawn, to potentially bring in Maul and Kira in this, that could be really, really cool. I feel like Maul would be more likely to come up in the Kenobi series than Cassian Andor, which is dealing with stuff like, weird alliances you have to make, which Hondo is like perfect for that. Man, so I'm gonna give you 2 points too, Ryan. I think that's a great direction this could go. But we want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments below what you want to see this series being. Like, do you want it to be more James Bond? Do you want it to be more like Jason Bourne espionage? How many people do you want to see him kill? How bloody do you want it to be? Do you want it to be a hard R? Probably not on Disney Plus, though it does sound like Disney is carving out a little section on this platform that could be for more mature content. Is that where this is going to go? What kind of missions, what kind of details left over from Rebels and Clone Wars do you want to see? Comment down below. All right, now comes the time for our rogue questions. Other interesting headlines that came out this week, starting with our man Zack Snyder. He confirmed that his Justice League Snyder Cut is going to have an R rating because Batman drops an F-bomb. But what else is going to make this an R-rated thing? My question for you, what is going to be the most shocking R-rated part of the Snyder Cut?
Darkseid's going to come out of a boom tube, pick Steppenwolf up, rip him apart, and it's going to be very slow motion, very gory. We're going to see the tendons rip. We're going to see everything Steppenwolf ate for breakfast. It's all going to pour out onto Darkseid like a baby's bib. It's going to be really gross and not entertaining at all.
Yeah, I feel like the exact same thing's gonna happen, only he's gonna be completely naked while he's doing it. So it's like really gonna make it that like hard R, because like he's just buck naked, and like that was a choice that Snyder made, and like everyone's gonna really enjoy it. But like that's what we're getting.
But lots of little dicks on him, like the tentacle monster.
So many dicks.
All right, more dick. Add another dick. Kim, what do you think?
I'm gonna piggyback off of Kristin. I'm hoping there's a nip slip or a dick shot, one or the other. If ideally dick shot of Aquaman, but you know what? I'll take what I can get.
Just some Momoa dong. Like when he comes out of the water, he's gonna be like coming up, but he's not wearing those pants. It's just like whoa. Arthur.
There's just like a sea star right over his parts.
No, I want a hard
R.
It's
so big that it has gills.
There you go.
It's got its own gills. Yikes.
Wow.
All right,
that's terrible.
I got him. I have to move on. This whole episode of Rogue Theory is getting an R rating. Well, kids, it's mid-December, so we got to talk about Santa Claus, the OG Christmas superhero. Apologies to Jesus. If Santa is the superhero of Christmas, who is the super villain of Christmas, and what are their powers?
My instant thought is weather.
The weather.
The villain of Santa Claus is weather. Like snow in particular is like a pain in the butt. Like he's like used to it. He's used to it because he's always like at the North Pole. But that doesn't make it any easier when he's like delivering presents. So like the weather is just his like mortal enemy. The foe of all foes. Because I mean, also, like, he's in a sleigh, and it does look like a warm coat, but when it's, like, real, real cold up there, like, no thank you. So, frostbite, snow.
Got it.
I'm going to go with labor unions. You think about it. Various mythologies have gone into this, and the elves are always real happy to be doing their job. Some of them, like the one in Rudolph wants to have another job. But it does seem like a lot of work just for the joy of the work itself. But not just the elves, but also the reindeer, who basically are raised up for years, and most of them don't get to make it to the show. And they're probably saying, "Can't we rotate in and out? Why's it got to be Donner and Blitzen every year? Can't just give someone else a chance for once?" Yeah, it's a very oligarchical capitalist system at the North Pole, and I really think there's probably some kind of rebellion fermenting there.
Yeah, if Marx's Communist Manifesto had illustration, the image of the bourgeois factory owner would be Santa Claus, and it'd be spelled with a K. And think about it. He's like the guy who's running the nonprofit, who's acting like, "Oh, I'm doing something nice for the kids of the world," but he actually doesn't really pay his employees that much. And why is it that the richer kids of the world get nicer presents and the poorer kids barely get anything? Like, that says something wrong. That's 1%.
He reinforces the class system. That's a great point.
There's no other explanation I can think of. Kim, what do you think?
Okay. Santa's arch enemy is a guy that you may have heard of called Terrence Claus. Who's Terrence Claus? Terrence Claus is the slighted younger brother of the Claus family who always hoped one day to grow up to be the Santa Claus. But unfortunately, his older brother, Nicholas, was always going to be the destined one. So Terrence is just very angry and mad and wants to, he's kind of like a Loki. He wants to just get his vengeance upon the world, and he has no logical sense to why he's evil except to get back at his big brother, Nicholas, for taking his spot, what he believes is his rightful spot as the Santa Claus. So Terrence Claus, look out for him.
Hamlet.
Yeah, that's so Shakespearean. Absolutely.
I'm seeing a Game of Thrones throne, but made out of candy canes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we realize
1,000%.
Santa Claus's super villain would be the Night King from Game of Thrones, would he not? I think that seems like an apt super villain for him.
We're in the same universe. Terrence is the Night King.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I got it.
You find that out later on in the series.
Oh, spoiler. Jeez. Well, I'm going to give the point for the true answer, which is labor unions, because we got to remember who the real enemy is, and it is capitalism. Ryan Arey, you are our winner of this episode of Rogue Theory. Well done, sir. But a big thank you to all of our guests here, Ryan Arey, Kim Truong, Kristin Sanchez. Follow all of them on their respective social medias. It's been a wonderful episode going deep into the Star Wars universe with you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the Rogue Theory podcast feed so that you can get early episodes of all this stuff. Stay tuned to the New Rockstars YouTube channel for this and other shows. Follow me at EA Voss. Follow New Rockstars on all social media. And subscribe to us here at New Rockstars. And we'll see you next time. Everyone stay safe out there. Bye. And tax the millionaires and billionaires.
Tax
of
the
world,
rich.
Tax
Eat the
and
rich.
then eat
Eat them all.
them. Bye.